And it had me think of this phrase that's really common in cricket, which is a sport that you may or may not have seen much of, but it's a phrase called line and length.
Line and length.
Line and length.
Line and length.
I was at the pool yesterday and I was watching some people swim because I kind of like to do it and just kind of see what they're doing well and what they can improve. And I was watching this guy swim. He was probably in his mid 60s, I'd say. And one of the things that I noticed he was doing, which is really common, is he was entering, coming way under the body with his hand. So a huge kind of crossover under the body. And then he was coming out with his hand really short, right even probably that far before his hip. So it meant that his stroke was much shorter than what it ideally should be. And so he was missing out on a lot of propulsion. And it had me think of this phrase that's really common in cricket, which is a sport that you may or may not have seen much of, but it's a phrase called line and length.
Line and length.
Line and length.
Line and length.
And what they're referring to in cricket is where is the ball, sort of the angle of it, the line of it, and where's it going to bounce, so the length of it. And the way this phrase line and length can be used in swimming is as a cue. You might have seen our video called Magic Words about some helpful cues. Well, line and length can really be used in swimming for this reason. So if we have a look at your alignment when you swim and the length at which your strokes are, that can be a really useful tool to making sure that you're getting the right distance per stroke and you're not sort of selling yourself short and just making sure you maximize your propulsion through the stroke. So if we have a look at the line or the alignment of your stroke, where we typically want to enter is in line with your shoulders or roughly in front of your ears. So if we're looking here at Andrew Spohr, you'll see his left hand enters in line with his shoulder or his ear there. Now it comes in close to the center, but it doesn't cross it, so I don't mind that. And then you'll see as he's reaching forwards directly in line with the shoulder there, and you can see that long line all the way through his body that he's got. So think of that as the line, and then obviously the right hand will come over and enter in line with that shoulder and extend straight forward. So again, really nice long straight line all the way through the body. So we call that swimming on train tracks, where we want to enter the hand in line with the shoulder once you're entering and reaching forwards. It doesn't mean you pull straight through. Don't think train tracks necessarily when you're going through the pool, because the hand isn't just going to make a straight path. But when you enter, imagine those imaginary train tracks in front of you. That's how you're going to hold great line. And if I'm thinking of this swimmer that I was watching at the pool the other day, where he was coming way over, across the center there, then he didn't have the right line. So if he was able to get on these train tracks, that's going to kind of fix one of the issues that we saw. Now, in terms of the length of the stroke, then where we want to go is we want to have some good reach and length through the stroke, because ideally we want to be long when we swim, not to the point where we reach and extend so far that we lose balance. No, you still want to be in control, but we still want good length out the front. You can see that obviously here with Andrew, how he's got good reach and extension here. Now, where the hand should exit, so if we're thinking of length out the front, all right, want a fair bit of reach here, but then length out the back, the hand should ideally exit just past the hip there. Whereas the swimmer I was watching the other day was exiting really, really short. So he was losing the last 25% of his stroke there. So that line and length out the front and out the back. Now, if we think about the path of the hand as it's going through the catch and through the pull, a lot of people are wondering, where does your hand go? What path should it take? I like the phrase tracing the outside line of your body. So ideally the hand will be in line with the shoulder here, and then come away from the center a little bit, where you'll be a little bit wider through the shoulders. So think of it tracing that wider line past your shoulders, and then it will come in a bit and finish off kind of near the hip and near the side of the body. So if we look at that from above, which I'll cut to here, is you'll see the hand will start in line with the shoulder, come away from the center a bit, it's following it through there, and then come in and finish a lot closer to the hip. So think of that as the outside line of your body. That's where the hand should go through the catch and through the pull. Now, it won't necessarily feel like this big S shape, as you know, and they used to teach, have this big S shape. It's going to be like a really long S. It'll take a slightly curved path. It might feel like it's reasonably straight, but the hand will sort of take this slightly curved path in an ideal world there. But that's a really good way to think of line and length. Now, if you're looking for a drill, what's a way that you could maintain good line and length and use a drill for this? Well, there is a drill that we can look at right now that Andrew showed me that is one that he did when he was swimming. Now this drill, as you can see, it's like a long dog paddle with 2 strokes in between. So we go underwater recovery and basically 2 long dog paddle strokes and then 2 normal strokes over the top. And you can see as he goes through, which will slow down. All right, so we've got the doggy paddle here. This is where we basically just go an underwater catch and pull phase. You can see this great setup of a high elbow there. So he's reaching forwards with that arm in front. This hand is pressing back past the hip. Then he comes back underneath the body with that hand, nice and close to the body there, while then the other hand pulls through. And that's a great way just to practice that length that we want underneath, and then he just goes into 2 normal strokes over the top. So a good way to practice that if you're looking for a way to work on that line and length in the stroke. The other cue that I'll sometimes use here with swimmers is that when the hand enters the water, imagine that you're reaching for that wall in front of you. So you're entering and you're trying to reach out for the wall that you're swimming towards, because a lot of times people won't have enough reach out in front where they'll just go straight into the catch and start too early with it, and they don't get this lengthening and extension through the torso and through the shoulder and through the arm there. And so there's no real kind of lengthening of the muscles to then contract, and they really miss out on a big part of their stroke there, because they just end up being a lot shorter than what they ideally should. So sometimes if someone's just swimming very short, so to speak, I'll get them to feel like every time that the hand's in the water, once it's in there, get that hand reaching to the wall in front of you at about shoulder depth, which you'll see here. So shoulder depth through here as you're reaching, and then start your catch. So you don't want to necessarily go immediately into the catch. And as you know, there's some exceptions there. If you're doing like a 50 freestyle, catch will start sooner and all that sort of thing. But in general, we need some of this reach and extension out in front of the stroke there. Now, this is really all part of core principle number 3 of our 5 core principles of fast freestyle. So core principle number 3 is rock, return, and align. So here we're talking about your rotation, the recovery of your arm, and the alignment with your arm out the front. So if you're looking for ways to build up the stroke, or you're not sure exactly what you should be doing, then check out the 5 core principles, which I'll link to below, and you can read about them on the website and kind of go through that progression if you're not too sure exactly where you should be starting. And there's videos and drills and kind of workouts here for each of these things inside our membership. So I'll put a link to that below as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.